the Matt Mladin update brought to you by Scorpion Helmets. Matt, the end of another hot one at Road Atlanta. I was wondering, after watching the last few races, and you've talked about it a few times, about managing the gap. And you do it better than just about anybody out there. That as someone comes, you can either step it up or find what you need, or, you know, that you can keep the gap where you want it almost all the time. How do you do that? I mean, you ride from the front all the time? Almost nobody does that.
Well, you know, it's I enjoy to race from the front, and I enjoy the challenge of trying to get out there and maintain it, and you know, and but today I couldn't do it. I mean, you know, we got stuck in some traffic and we gave up a bit over a second in that one lap after working pretty hard to get a decent gap, and then as soon as Ben got a sniff, he really came on strong and couldn't hold it today. That was that. So you know, you're not going to do it all the time. I mean, that's it. I mean, you know, but that's the way it goes. You know, sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't. Today we're beaten by a better rider and maybe had a better setup and all the rest of it, so we'll live to race another day.
In other races, though, when people have made a charge on you, do you normally have something where you feel like, okay, I'll just squeeze the throttle a little harder and bring that gap back out?
Well, I mean, most of the time you can, but I mean, you know, today I was going hard and just tried to get it out there, and, you know, I mean, you got to remember that it's you're talking tenths, not a second here and there, you know what I mean? And it's not that easy just every race to just turn it up when you need to. Sometimes you've got it turned up, you know, and sometimes you race for 25 laps with it turned up, you know, that's just the way it is. So trying to eke out another couple tenths just doesn't happen. So, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, that's racing. I mean, you know, after having 70-something wins, you learn that you're not going to win them all. And, you know, we got beat today by, you know, someone doing a better job, and that's that simple.
I'm kind of curious. I've heard you say a couple of times in times when you're trying to work the bike, and you would say it's pushing everywhere, or something to that effect. So you're trying to ride around something. In the situations like that, do you just like you're going, and you think, okay, if I do this anymore, I've pushed it as far as I can go? I mean, I don't know what's that like.
Oh yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, you know when things are drifting, and you know, you're pushing the front in a couple of spots around the racetrack every lap. You know, there's not much left, and you know, that's just the way it is. And you know, you can only push so far until you're going to jump off, and you know, when Ben came by today, I tried to hang with him, and I was erratic, you know, and just didn't have it. So that's that.
One of the races at Fontana, he was on you the whole time, always on you, and you kept him at bay the entire time. I don't remember if it was this year or the year before. It was one of those years. And I mean, you were so stoked at the end of it because you kept him back there. Is that one of those moments where you're just, everything's just, I got to hold this together. It's pushing here, but
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, and like I said, I mean, I've won a lot of races from the front.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, I've won races catching up from behind and overtaking people and all the rest of it. But I enjoy the challenge of getting out there and having to concentrate and focus for 40 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever it is, and without making too many mistakes. And yeah, it's hard work. I mean, you know, and like I said, when you're chasing a fast 24-year-old, the old 36-year-old body sometimes catches up on you, you know. But yeah, that's the way it goes. I got to be happy with the way things have gone for me, and especially for my career. I mean, things have been, you know, we've had a great time and won a lot of races, a lot of championships, and you know, to this day, I mean, if I wasn't here, Ben would win every single race, and comfortably. So it's nice to get out there and a challenge. And you know, over the course of the last 3 years, even though he's won the championship, we've won a lot more races. So our speed's not a problem. You know, when you're racing, and you know, when a guy gets points for pole position and for going fast for a lap, it makes it hard to win championships when it's always so tight between us. So, you know, That's the way it goes. You know, I enjoy the racing and enjoy trying to do it and give it everything that I've got. And sometimes it isn't enough. That's the way it goes. I had my first race of my life 30 years ago, and I won my first national championship 27 years ago as a kid on a dirt bike.
Yeah.
I've been collecting a paycheck to race for 17 years, so I've won some and I've lost some in my time.
I had read a previous interview that you were banging bars with Courser as kids in Australia on dirt bikes. Did I read that right?
Well, you know, Troy certainly Troy made for a good road racer, obviously, but as a dirt bike rider, he was, you know, he certainly wasn't in the top stakes, I guess you could say, dirt bike. So, you know, I mean, you know, mate, the bottom line is we've been around a while, and you know, I mean, I had a bit of a chuckle yesterday on the podium when we won the race, and Kevin Swans was handing out the trophies. I remember I was in the same racing class as him in Europe in 1993, and 15 or 16 years later, we're still going and trying to race with these young guys. But you know, it was been around a long time and raced against a lot of people and seen a lot of stuff, and you know, it's been good fun, and you know, trying to keep Ben at bay is hard work, and you know, but it's nice to be able to be there to make a race of it for the fans. If they think the racing, you know, some of the people inside the industry are talking about the racing being boring and you know, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, if you think that racing's boring, watching two guys give it everything, pushing each other to the limit, then you don't appreciate what the sport's actually about. If you want to see a race, a bunch of guys 3 seconds off the pace, nose to tail, then okay, then it's going to be boring to you. But for me, I like to see people who are good at what they do racing at the front. I prefer to watch Valentino Rossi racing at the front and watch him grinding away by himself than I care to watch the guy back in 8th place racing to stay there, you know, with a group of 6 people behind him. I don't call that racing. I just call that a merry-go-round, you know what I mean? So I enjoy to watch people doing what they do good, and I know the motorcycle fans out there appreciate that as well, and I know they appreciate what Ben and I do and pushing each other to the limit, and you know, it's been a fun time last few years, and who knows what's going to happen next year, we don't know, but probably a pretty safe bet that it's not going to be the same as this year, so which is a shame. It's been fun, but we'll see.
Thanks, Matt. We'll see you at Laguna.
Thanks. Cheers.
And can I be, can also come?